So I came to the realization after watching this game that the Bucks are essentially a lottery team in the East if Giannis has to miss any significant portion of time this season, because holy, that dude is straight up carrying this Milwaukee Bucks team. But no, I mean, give the Bucks credit. They've actually been better than I expected to start off the season. I thought with their limited depth, they would really struggle even if Giannis was dominating. But overall, the fit with Giannis and Miles Turner has been solid, and they're actually a much better defensive team than I would have expected. That said, yeah, the Bulls got to play better. Although I will say there still hasn't been a game so far this season where I'm like, yeah, that was bad. That was a really bad game. I know it's eventually going to happen because every team has them, even the best of teams. But even though the Bulls ultimately lost by 16, which isn't ideal when it's a cup game and point differential plays a factor, and even though the Bucks led for a good portion of this one, the final score doesn't really tell the whole story, as the Bulls really until those final minutes kept this thing pretty close. They kept hanging around, they still played hard, they tried their best against Giannis, and actually as good as one can against one of the better players in the league. They played their game, they still played fast, the ball movement was a thing of beauty, they didn't turn the ball over that much. Where the Bulls really struggled was their shooting, 10 for 33 from deep, and on the other hand, they let the Bucks get way too many open looks from behind the arc, which is weird because the Bulls have been so good at limiting their opponent from shooting so many threes. They've defended the perimeter well this season. The Bulls have actually been more susceptible to giving up easier looks inside, but tonight they let the Bucks get up 39 threes and let them shoot 41% from three. Now, that's likely due to the fact that Isaac Okoro got into some foul trouble early, as he's been the team's best perimeter defender and ended up only playing 17 minutes for the whole game. And for all the Okoro naysayers because he doesn't bring as much to the table on offense, well, you saw how much the Bulls struggled on the defensive end when he was forced to sit early because he was in foul trouble. He brings that grit, energy, and IQ on that side of the ball that the team really feeds off of. The other reason the Bulls lost this game was the possession battle. The Bucks had more chances, more possessions, and got up 13 more shots than the Bulls did. It's not like there was a large free throw discrepancy. The Bucks got to the line 18 times compared to the Bulls 16, but the Bulls gave up 103 field goal attempts, the most they've given up so far this season, while the Bulls only put up 90. Now, initially in the first half, really the first quarter, I was impressed with how many second chance and third chance opportunities the Bulls were getting. They didn't capitalize on a lot of those, but they were getting a lot of second chance opportunities. They were crashing the offensive glass, and you thought it was going to be one of those games where the Bulls just win on the hustle points. But in the second half, way too many offensive rebounds for the Bucks, not boxing out hard enough, not timing their leaps properly to get the board. And at that point, it just became easy for the Bucks to maintain a comfortable lead. There were times where the Bulls would make some mini runs, but the Bucks would always be able to answer. I will say I liked what I saw from Modest. Modest has been a little quieter the last couple of games, and I thought in a game where, he's going to be going up against a team with some strong bigs, rim protecting, rim running bigs at Miles Turner and Giannis Antetokounmpo, that it would be a tough night for him. But he really held his own. Great shot selection, very efficient on the floor, shot 8 for 13 overall, was able to create for himself and getting to the paint and finishing with his left hand, which we've seen him do so well so far this season, was active on the glass as well as on defense, getting deflections, reading the right time to double Giannis, had 2 steals and a block. He would finish with 20 points and 8 boards along with 3 assists. Great game from Modest. Loved his hustle and energy in this game. Vucevic, I would have liked to see a stronger game from Vuce, although I will say he was surprisingly okay when guarding Giannis one-on-one. I did not expect that. Not saying he was great, but he wasn't a non-factor when it came to being on Giannis. Like, you almost noticed when Vuce wasn't on the court and Giannis was, because everyone else on the floor just looked that much smaller and had no way of stopping him. But I would have liked to see Vuce a little more active on offense in this game, especially in the paint. I know Turner and Giannis are more mobile and athletic bigs than he is, but he was one of the few guys on this team that actually has the size to really go inside and be an interior presence. Again, not that it was a bad game for Vuce by any means. He still scored 16 points, was 7 for 13 and 2 for 3 from 3. Just would have been good to see more offense from Vuce in this game, in a game where the Bulls really needed it from him. Same can be said about Josh Giddey. He certainly tried, though, was doing what he usually does and making drives to the hoop, but in the second half, he just wasn't finishing like we've been seeing. He would make all the right moves, would beat his man off the dribble, do some pump fakes, but then just couldn't get the roll for the ball to go down the hoop. We didn't see Giddey really try to get to the lane and draw contact to get to the line, try to get Giannis in foul trouble, anything to get this guy sitting on the bench. That's all I really wanted. That said, you've also got to recognize just how important it is to have Giddey out there when it comes to running the offense, seeing the outlet passes before the defense does, pushing it ahead in transition, the drive and kick out passes to the perimeter. He had some great whip passes out to the corner. and the Bulls just couldn't convert for him. But those corner threes, they get knocked down. It's probably a different game that we're talking about here. But Giddey, 14 assists in this one. I believe that's a season high for him. 16 points on 6 for 14 shooting, 7 rebounds. Didn't quite get that hat trick of a triple-double for 3 straight triple-doubles. Trey Jones was also solid. He put up 17 points on 6 for 10 shooting, got to the free throw line a lot. The Bulls bench was okay. I wouldn't say it was great, but solid. Some good production from Jalen Smith, Patrick Williams, who stepped up and had to take on some of the defensive assignments that Okoro had when he was pulled early for getting into foul trouble. Was good to see Io back in lineup as well. You know, I started getting a little worried, man. I didn't like the way they just kept listing him as questionable and day-to-day without any other explanation. Like, we know how that story usually goes when it comes to the Bulls. Said players progressing okay, or keeping them out as a precaution, to then, just kidding, said player is actually going to be reevaluated in 6 to 8 weeks. So anyway, good to see Io back. Had some solid minutes coming off the bench, good defensive effort from him. So yeah, I mean, I can't say this was a bad loss. I can't say this was a bad game. Like, yes, there were things the Bulls could have done better, like shooting it better, limiting second chance points for the Bucks, and limiting them from getting open looks from 3. But overall, I still like the Bulls' compete level. I appreciated the effort, the hustle. They're still playing the way I want to see this team play. Heavy ball movement, team basketball. They had 34 assists in this game despite still losing. 5 players in double figures. So yeah, well, I would have liked to see the Bulls win, of course, but I'm not too fussed by this loss because we still saw the Bulls doing the things that have worked well for them this season. They just went up against a great team on the road against one of the best players in the league who's playing at the top of his game right now. If this was a loss against the Wizards or Nets, yeah, different story. I can live with a competitive loss against the Milwaukee Bucks. And yes, it was a competitive loss despite the final score. What makes it tough for the Bulls is now they have to travel to Cleveland for the second night of a back-to-back, another tough Eastern Conference opponent, and then they go back home to take on one of the better teams in the West in the San Antonio Spurs. So yes, more tests coming up for the Bulls. Can we just get some easy teams here? First stretch of the schedule has been brutal for the Bulls. But hey, we're still 6-2. So let me know what you guys thought of the game in the comments. Let me know. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.